Howdy, everyone. It is day 4 of the Nystatin treatment, and I'm still fantastically getting those body aches that make you want to do that. I keep stretching, but it's brutal. I guess muscle aches is common as a symptom. We're about to have a pretty fantastic storm hit Seattle, so that should be fun. Anyway, I'm not sure at what point you start to feel better, but just for informational purposes, Nystatin, again, is an antifungal, and I'm not sure how much research you may have done on it, but what it does is if you have a fungal outbreak, such as like oral thrush, which is when your tongue gets really white, I guess the symptoms of that are pretty brutal. But what it does is it disrupts the cell membrane, what I believe is called chitin. And chitin is like the shell around the contents of the cell, or it's the membrane that protects the contents of the cell, and what it does is destroy that, and thereby releasing the contents of the cell into your system, which I believe is what causes these the sort of symptoms. So I'm assuming if I'm having the symptoms that it must be working. It's like Armageddon inside my body right now, destroying all the fungal mess, I hope. Anyway, as a fun fact, it looks like Nystatin was actually discovered by 2 women in the 1950s. Rachel Fuller Brown and Elizabeth Lee Hazen actually discovered this particular agent. And I believe they actually named it Nystatin because it was discovered in New York. So it was like New York and Staten Island together. So that's neat. Little fun fact. Gotta keep it positive, right? And informational. Otherwise, for anyone with anxiety, which is why I sort of started on this whole journey to begin with, I would highly recommend doing meditation. And what I've done is basically 20 minutes of just sitting still, wherever you want, wherever you're comfortable. You can lay down, but it's hard not to fall asleep when you're sitting. So I usually just sort of sit as straight as I can. And then you just set your timer on your phone for 20 minutes. And that has really helped sort of relax what they call the parasympathetic system. So if you have anxiety, now it may take a while, but you actually get used to it, which is strange. Meditating is kind of weird. I never knew what to expect, but I've done it for probably a couple weeks now, with only a week of trying to do it every day. But after a while, you start to forget time, and you won't even realize that it's been 20 minutes. So initially, it's really hard because, the brain wants to just talk, and that's what it'll do while you're just sitting here. But the idea is to just breathe in and out, and no matter where your brain goes into the universe, no matter what problems you're having or what your brain wants you to pay attention to, if you can just sit for 20 minutes and as peacefully as possible and let your brain talk, you don't have to answer it or listen, just let it talk about whatever it wants to. And a good way to do that is to focus on your breathing. So your brain's going to start talking, and you're like, yeah, you're right, I should totally do that. And then you're like, oh, that's right, yeah. And then you can just sort of a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then you're going to suck back into your brain and say, we have to do that thing. And you'll be like, yeah, you're right, and then you have to pull yourself back. So what I do is I try to take my focus and put it in my stomach. That sounds kind of weird. I can go more into that maybe in another video, just because there's not much to say when you're on Nystatin and you feel like shit every day. That's an update. It's like 30 seconds. Like, yeah, I'm still feeling bad. You're welcome. Anyway, so I'm trying to think of things to say that will be helpful. Anyway, so maybe I'll go more into the meditation thing, and if anybody has any anxiety tips, that'd be fantastic. Maybe what's worked for you. Or antifungal tips. How about that? Anyway, that's it. Good luck to anyone in Seattle for the storm this weekend. Should be fun. And stay safe.